Welcome back, everyone. Episode 13, the unlucky 1-3. But today's episode will not be unlucky. Today, as we've previously warned you, we've got something exciting, something different. First of all, I should say that I am Sinan Schwarting, live and direct from New York City, as always. Today, my location is going to play a special role in the episode, but I'll get more into that in a minute. First of all, where to begin? Today's episode is a long one, full of stuff, and of course, I'm alone today. Khan is not with me. He's not sick. Fear not. Everything is fine. He will be back, as always, as soon as possible. Today, I am doing this alone simply because it's something of an impromptu episode. First of all, we got a nice interview lined up for you listeners. We got Barış İzgördü, something of a minor celebrity in the Beşiktaş community. He is the individual who put together the Beşiktaş formalari, or the Beşiktaş shirt book, which has been sold in the Kartal Yuvasa for years. It started being sold during the Feda season. He actually donated the rights to the book and all of the proceeds to the club. So it was definitely a kind gesture on his part. And the bottom line is it's a very beautiful book. Not all of you will have this book, or will even maybe be aware of it, but many of you will. And so this will provide us with a special opportunity to sort of dig in between the lines, understand the writer, get to talk about his collection of shirts a little bit. But most of all, what we're going to be doing is talking about this season's shirts. We have a very popular line of shirts this year, nice series. I've just received mine in the mail, personally. And I actually received mine in time for the Tórshavn match previously, so that worked out nicely for me. Of course, that will all be discussed in the interview. We'll be talking about the shirts that I'm wearing and that we're going to have in our hands. So we'll be discussing this year's shirts. It's a very popular line this year. It's selling quite well from what I understand. The shirts look nice, I'll say. And I'm holding one in my hand right now and wearing the other. Nice color selection. So, there's always good news when we have a nice design and people want to buy the shirt. Because those are the things that can make or break our bank account, one assumes, right? If a lot of people like the shirts, and if we can break that threshold and have that one really nice shirt, perhaps, you even get shirt collectors who aren't even Beşiktaş fans trying to buy it because it stands out. I'd argue that perhaps our new black one with the grayish black stripes could sort of fill that need. It really is a stunner. But anyway, I won't go too much into detail about the shirts now because there's going to be plenty of shirt talk in this interview, of course, during the interview with Barış. Before I segue into that, however, there's more news. Maybe more important news. Maybe even the news you're here for. In fact, it's probably likely that you are here either for news about our recent match in the Europa League against B36 Tórshavn, or perhaps even more exciting, you could be here for news about the Enzo Roco transfer. Chilean central defender who we have officially purchased and is already in Istanbul, I believe. Now, you won't be disappointed. I will briefly talk about those things, and in fact, I even roped Barış into a conversation about the Tórshavn match yesterday. But we're not going to focus too much on it because we've actually got, as always, we've got an expert on the Mexican Football League, which is where Enzo Roco is coming from. He's coming from Cruz Azul. And that individual will be going, doing the usual deep dive into the new player we've acquired. He'll have sort of pertinent information about what we can expect. I will, naturally give you some basic information about the player so that you have something to go off of. Enzo Roco is 1.9 and change meters tall. Nothing to scoff at. He's 25 years old. He's already a Chile national team player, and as a matter of fact, in their last 2 friendly matches, Enzo Roco was named captain. He's probably behind the likes of Medel, Isla, and I know there are other big names from Chile that I'm not thinking of right now. But nonetheless, he's been tabbed as a future captain, and he is still just 25. Chile is coming off a recent Copa America success. Of course, they did not make the last World Cup, so that's some sad news, although perhaps that was good for us in terms of being able to get Enzo Roco. He flew under the radar, and we managed to get him on a free transfer. So nothing to scoff at there. That's another potential great get, another great free transfer for that matter. And we've done quite well with free transfers, bringing them in, having them develop themselves, raise their profile, and then eventually selling them for a good chunk of change, as we saw with the likes of Duško Tosić, as we've even more recently are seeing with Domagoj Vida. So getting a good, relatively young central defender on a free is never a bad thing. And we've sold both of the starting central defenders from last season in Tosić, and his replacement was Vida. But to make a good bit of change off of them and bring in a viable replacement on a free, it doesn't get a lot better than that, I'm going to say. So like I said, he has joined us very recently from Cruz Azul. Previously, he'd played for O'Higgins, a Chilean side, where he had also been loaned to Espanyol of España, a team most of you somewhat familiar with. Besides that, he had also previously been loaned out to Elche, CF of Spain, from another Chilean side, CDUC. So, he doesn't have vast European experience, but he does have some. And of course, this will be a great launchpad for him to perform well and maybe make more of a name for himself in Europe. So I'm sure he's excited about the opportunity. I know many of us are excited for him to join. Seems like a good, pickup by all means. Now, positionally, he's a central defender. There can be no doubting that. I'm not finding anything online that suggests he's very versatile, that he could swing out to the right side or the left side or anything like that in our defense. So, I'm not holding my breath for any hopes that he might be a right back option or anything to that extent. But we're clearly going to need a central defender, given that Duško Tosić has left, that Domagoj Vida seems very clearly leaving himself. So it's a great pickup anyhow. As far as his squad number, if anyone's interested, he seems to prefer the number 3. He's also played with the numbers 6 and actually 26 quite a few times. 26 is currently being occupied by Dorukhan Tokuž, and number 3, as you all know, is occupied with the squad currently by Adriano. So I would not be surprised if our new guy Enzo Roco wears the number 6, since the numbers 3 and 26 are taken. He has worn the number 6 shirt previously for Espanyol, so 6 itself has come up before, so I wouldn't be surprised if that were his squad number with us. And welcome Enzo Roco. I'm not going to dig too much into what he's capable of. He's been capped 21 times by his national side. He's already scored a goal for them. His 26th birthday will be on August 16th. So before the season starts, he will be a 26-year-old central back, not a 25-year-old, to be fully transparent. But that's still plenty. He's got plenty of years in his prime ahead. We've brought in a good player on a free, etc., etc. We're doing great. And yeah, we'll have plenty more news on Enzo Roco when we have the fitting expertise to rely on. But so, to go back to the match, which we've just seen, our first competitive match of the season against Tórshavn. We were victorious, 2-0. We had goals scored by Jermaine Lenz in the 8th minute and Gökhan Gönül in the 26th. Nice goals, I must say. Lenz's goal was particularly nice. Gökhan Gönül's was off of a corner. I didn't actually know if it was his goal initially because I thought it may have gotten straight in from the corner, which was by Lenz, and maybe touched by a defender. But sure enough, it was actually Gökhan Gönül. And not only was it actually Gökhan Gönül, but he somehow sort of flicked it from behind his. I mean, it was an impressive little goal, actually, which is to say, congratulations to Gökhan Gönül. And of course, Jermaine Lenz, who has continued his hot preseason for us. It's going to be hard to put him on the bench. Quaresma has not gotten much time playing with us in the preseason. Granted, he was in the World Cup, so you can't blame him for it. But Lenz and Babel are both coming off of very successful preseasons where they looked smooth and part of the offense. Babel actually stumbled a little bit in that regard yesterday. And there was some debate about where he was playing. Adriano was brought up to the wing so Caner Erkin could play. And the result was that we played with Adriano, Babel, and Lenz. Three sort of wingers in that regard, with one of them kind of playing behind the striker, alternating. I think that was Babel who was roving behind the striker more than anyone else. Although I've been disputed on that, so I don't want to be quoted. It was reported on the news that was the case, that it was Babel who was sort of floating behind the strikers. So, don't sue me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's the case. Anyway, the results of the match, despite only scoring twice, besides that, were pretty good. We held the ball for 80% of the match, Beşiktaş did. Completed 760 passes to their less than 200. They completed 198. Our passing accuracy was 90% to their 56. We had 14 shots, 4 of which were on target. Actually, they had 3 shots, and 2 of which were on target, although, not particularly dangerous-looking ones, perhaps, on their end. So it was a dominating performance. We could, and some are vociferously saying should, have scored more than 2 goals. Maybe so. Probably so. But we're doing fine. We've scored 2 away goals in a European competition against a Faroese side that we were highly favored to win against. We're going home to Vodafone Park, where we've lost like once to Bayern Munich. We're going to be okay. For those who are, who have been hitting the panic button vis-a-vis the transfer situation and are continuing to hit it vis-a-vis, our form now and friendlies, relax, guys. Look, we still have not even seen a full A team yet, and despite it, we're winning competitively and we're doing okay in our friendlies. We're proliferating match experience at this stage. We have a lot of young guys that we're bringing into the squad. There's no harm in it. This is all normal, good stuff. It does mean we're in a rebuilding year and that we're sacrificing the season by any stretch. Clearly, we're still on the market for some transfers. It would seem to me we're waiting for Domagoj Vida's money to come in so that we could spend on what we need. This is okay. This is fine. We don't need to panic yet. we'll talk more about it with Barış because he and I go into the match a little bit, and maybe that's what we'll do. I'll segue into my conversation with Barış about this B36 Tórshavn match, which we won 2-0. My last note about this is that we will be seeing B36 Tórshavn again next week, August 2nd. Again, it seems like it's a 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time match. Again, that's for New York City here. If that changes, I will be updating you before that match. I'm sure we'll have another episode. But without further ado, let me segue into my conversation with our esteemed guest, Barış İzgördü, the author of the Beşiktaş Formulary book, major contributor to the club in the FEDA season/era. It's an honor to have him. Let me set the scene for you. I first of all would like to apologize for sound quality. This was an outdoor interview. This was a live interview. It was in person. Not on Skype. We are outdoors, sort of. We are in an indoor-outdoor space. You can hear the sounds of New York City in the background. I apologize for that. There was a park kind of not too far away, some kids screaming occasionally. I've done my best in post-production to minimize the effects of that. We'll see how successfully. But yeah, I hope that you guys can enjoy the chat I had with Barış İzgördü. He sort of serves as my co-host as such for this episode. And it was a pleasure having him. So that's it. That's the scene. We're outdoors talking, looking at these shirts we've just got in the mail from Turkey. And I also had laid out a few. You'll hear sometimes we're talking about some other shirts. I had laid out a few of the shirts that I have from Beşiktaş's previous few seasons, just as reference points. So if you hear us talking about like, oh, that shirt there, we did our best to color commentate so that there was nothing that was too, not understandable for those of you who don't see what we were seeing during the conversation. But yeah, here we go. Barış İzgördü, folks. I hope you enjoy.
Maybe, all right, so we'll talk about the game today. Did you get to watch it?
Yeah, I watched it. I watched it one of those fake links that they have. But it kept in the second half, it kept kind of frozen and stuff, so I had to refresh it. But it didn't go too much of an action in the second half anyway. It was basically like a friendly game. They got the result, 2-0, early goal, and then they just take it easy, and then it's like they say, they got the job done. That's it. Plus, a lot of people criticize this, but they forget that the pitch is an artificial turf. These guys, they don't play an artificial turf, especially for a fast break game that Beşiktaş wants to play. Well, once you kick the ball from the ground, it slows down.
Absolutely.
Or if you just kick it up high, when it doesn't bounce the way that it's supposed to bounce. So it affected a lot. And I don't know if you followed, they even had their last training session in Fulya,
exactly.
just to get used to the pitch. So
exactly. Yeah. I take it all with a grain of salt, and I really do think we have to consider this as kind of an extended part of our preseason, right? I mean, considering our rivals are still in there playing,
of course,
and the quality of the opposition isn't particularly high, but on the other hand, we're playing with things on the line, so that it gives, I think it gives a nice level of experience to some of these guys.
I think there are always pros and cons. One of the obvious one that everybody thinks that once you open the season so early, later in the season, your physical attributes kind of go down.
Sure.
But on the other side, if you look at the squads that we field, half the team is not even out there yet. Pepe is not there, Quaresma is not there, our new transfer is not there. More than half the team maybe. So once these guys gonna come back to the squad and start playing, it's like they're gonna have a regular season. So I think they will manage much better than like Osmanlıspor did a couple seasons ago, or Istanbul Belediye did last year or so. I don't think we're gonna have that downward acceleration around March or April.
Yeah, I fully agree, and I think you have to look at guys like Fatih Aksoy who are on the pitch, you know, like Necip even, right? He's not a guy.
Necip is a joker, so it's like
he's a guy who we can afford to. He can take out as much energy. If anything, he needs to take his energy down a few levels. He's fine.
Yeah.
You know, and
like
even
a Tasmanian
Laren,
devil, just go there and run, and you know.
Exactly. But even Laren, right? Laren,
I feel sorry for him.
Me too.
Laren, I mean, he got so much potential. I think he's even starting to think like, and he's getting a little stressed. I can see that because he's trying to use the chances much quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Like he just turns turns around and takes the shot right away. He wants to get that goal.
Right.
Even though like he got like a couple of goals in the friendly games, those are like really doesn't count.
Yeah, for sure.
And the situation we have with Negredo, Love, even Pektemek is in the squad. I think he still feels he's like the third or fourth guy at the moment. And plus the rumors, we're gonna get another, poacher if we can. So it's kind of like putting stress on it. But I have high hopes, really high hopes on it. I mean, he's physical, especially for Turkish league.
For sure.
Especially for what Şenol Güneş did with that type of a player. The only thing is that he needs a secondary attacker, like on a 4-4-2 kind of things, or when we play 4-3-3, whoever is on the opposite side of the wing, Quaresma doesn't do that as much, but Babel does it, comes into the the PK area and scrambles it around, so he will get a little bit more freedom.
Yeah, something to play off.
Yeah, but when he stays just by himself, he becomes just like Cenk Tosun.
Right.
When we play 4-5-1, he's just in the middle of four defenders.
Island, yeah.
And
exactly.
He can't do anything.
No, yeah.
It's kind of like for the system has to be friendly for him to play more efficient.
Yeah, and I think as a brief summation of what happened out there today, we could say that we were very reliant on attacking from the wings. Definitely, we were overly reliant on doing so. There was nothing coming from the center of the midfield, and that's where clearly, like, not to overhype it, but we still need enough. We need a 10. We need to get someone in the market,
obviously,
or another striker to play alongside someone who could complement Laren, or someone of that nature up front.
I was very surprised because on the friendly games, Caner was like very, very tired, and people were just walking past by him. But today, it's a cliche, but our jersey won the game. Right. That's our shirt, our crest won the game. They were just too scared.
No doubt about it. Yeah, and you're right. He definitely brought a little bit more today, perhaps. And again, I think he's old enough where when the regular season starts, he can kind of engage at another level. Like he's been through the rounds long enough for sure. But so back to the match today. Let's sort of round that up. I mean, in our sort of editorial board group, which Barış is now sort of invited and he's been a part of, they were sort of having a mini conniption over, they were ready to pull their hair out about we only scored 2 goals. And both you and I sort of mentioned it before.
They got the job done. That's the bottom line. I mean, you don't
2-0 on the road, right? Like,
yes.
In the
early season, they just coming out of very heavy camp time. It's like they got all these 4 or 5 training games. Half the team is not even there. Guys, look, Necip and Fatih Aksoy was in the back 2. Exactly. Tolga was in the goal.
Sheet.
Yeah, I saw your comment on that one.
Right?
So it's like we could even concede a goal as well. That in the first half, I think it was like the 12th or 15th minute, they got a corner kick and it was a scramble.
Yeah.
It's like that. And the second
and another
half,
one where Medel maybe,
it could have been a PK.
Right,
it could have been
like on another
not
day.
The shoulder,
Exactly.
not the shoulder, but the other one, He kind of tripped him. But, like I said, they got the job done. Even they scored a couple of goals, the other team. We could have scored 5 goals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or we could have finish it off like back in Istanbul next week. So
if they'd scored another goal, the sense of urgency would have kicked in, and we would have scored probably 5. I mean, that's the sort of tempo of the game. That's the amount of control we had over the match. And to underline the point you brought up, it should be noted that Fatih Aksoy had his first clean sheet in a match.
Yeah.
In a Europa League match, right?
Exactly.
Let's look at the positives here, right? We put some guys out there who may or may not see a ton of
as a
time.
defender.
Yeah, as a defender, right? As a central defender,
Yeah,
much less.
exactly.
Alongside Najib, not much less, right? So
Exactly.
there's a lot to be said for that. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's a 2-0 win on the road in Europe. We're coming home with comfortably.
And it's see, after the last year's disaster of Galatasaray and Fenerbahce, they lost to Vardar and Östersund.
Right, yeah.
People had these questions in mind, like, oh, maybe
What could happen?
Beşiktaş.
Yeah.
Because when you play all these preliminary rounds, you usually play all these northern states teams, and they already have their league going on, and then they already in the half of their seasons, and it's kind of like I thought for a second. Yeah. So it's kind of like tough for the lower states of Europe to compete them in the middle of the summer because they're not ready for. So that on that occasion, I wouldn't criticize Fenerbahce or Galatasaray for last year's failures as well because they were not ready at all.
Right, yeah.
They were basically training games and they lost them.
And there's a general theme in football worldwide now, which is sort of underdogs being slept on and making noise, right? Like Iceland is a whole nation, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, you can't really sleep on anyone. And this is actually probably a perfect segue to the other news item regarding the Europa League, but which is that, speaking of Northern European teams that one should be weary of, our next opponent is pretty much resolved, right? So
yeah, it's just the Austrian team.
So their name was
Linz.
Yeah, Lask Linz.
I think they're from the city of Linz.
Yeah, and they defeated Lillestrøm.
I wasn't following that much, but I think before the tie, I was thinking for sure Lillestrøm is gonna, qualify for the next round.
Absolutely.
Because I've been hearing their names here and there. So some part of my brain said that they are probably the favorite team. But a 4-0 loss, it's like suggests otherwise. And then Austrian team is like, as far as I know, I read from the message board also, the Pogatetz and one other guy that they're very well-known, experienced players. So they might cause a slight problem for us. But again, if Beşiktaş plays like Beşiktaş, I don't think it would be a problem.
Yeah.
And we don't even know who's gonna be against us on the playoff round because if we pass, I consider that we already qualified this round against Faroe Island team. And then if we pass the Austrian team, it's going to be another round for playoff to get into the group, and which we would be well into the league games already, like 3 games or something already would be played.
So that's why we really need to be focused.
And I think the whole preparations for Şenol Güneş is to get the team ready, the top form up until the 6th week, which they're going to play with Fenerbahce Derby, and I think away game in Kadıköy. And it's going to be interesting fixture, and it's going to set the tone for the league because what happened last year? It was again in the 6th week, and then we went over there, and then we lost by referee. We scored a goal, they say it's offside. They gave us 2 PKs, 3 red cards, all that stuff. So
and it really set the tone for the entire botched first half of the season, right?
Yeah,
and twice Benet did that to us, right? Because in the second half they
said it like, you're not gonna be champion this year. So again, I'm going to that subject that we said we're gonna talk later, but that was the clear and out message.
And in the second half of the season, right, we go into our pivotal match with Galatasaray, having come off of that horrible experience with Fenerbahce, where all of our minds, I was saying to Khan in a previous episode that I remember losing pretty badly to Galatasaray, and still I was sort of not even, like I was still, mostly my mind was on what had just previously happened in the week with Fenerbahce.
Even in that situation, we had 2 great chances in that game, which Negredo lobbed the ball and missed, and Babel, one-on-one with the keeper, missed, even in that situation. But they lost the game in their mind. Mentally, Beşiktaş was lost. It's not because of the Fenerbahce ruling and all that stuff, but throughout the whole season. Sometimes they, give you little by little. They do these wrong things, and then you don't care, and then there was this last drop. So that was kind of like the last drop of the whole season. Remember, the whole thing started all the way back with the Super Cup game against Konyaspor.
Yeah.
All those things that they did. It's not even our, home field. We got a one game ban, all that stuff, and then their president was later indicted.
We're always on the negative side of that, and on the questionable, you're like, maybe that's a little harsh, right? It's never another club that's being put on that.
Lobby. That's our problem. That's one thing that you can envy of the other clubs. The Fenerbahce always have these rich people, and Galatasaray always have people within the departments of the state, if I may say. So they get the results,
whatever they need,
and then even in Europe, it's amazing that they didn't get any ban in Europe with all this 300 million euros in debt and all that stuff.
Yeah, I know. Galatasaray, and they're still spending money as if they don't realize what the situation is there. Yeah. But anyway, so now
the game, it was a good game,
and we're
jobs done, and then they should look forward for the Austrian game. And I think on the second fixture, those guys who were not played today should get some play time because they didn't play in the training games as well.
Oh, yeah.
I know Pepe is just started training. Quaresma just came back.
Yeah.
This new transfer just arrived.
Roco. We're also going to have to maybe talk about it briefly.
Yeah, Enzo
Roco, of Chile.
So maybe, I don't know if he's going to get in play time, but
it's a good opportunity.
Maybe, if they look at it as a friendly, they should get them some play time prior to the Austrian fixture.
Definitely. That's definitely a good opportunity. But so on that note, guys, nothing to panic about really, clearly. We've gotten through, basically, we're fine. And we're bringing B36 Tórshavn home to Vodafone Park, where we've lost once to Bayern Munich, in Europe. Yeah. Come on, guys, let's be real. But so let's get to what Khan calls the meat and potatoes, because today is a special episode where we have Barış İzgördü, and I never even really properly introduced the man.
No kidding.
We just got straight into it, which happens with Beşiktaş fans, right? That's what we are. But
yeah, I mean, like you said, my name is Barış İzgördü. I live in Queens, New York. Came to the States 20 years ago. Went to college here in New Jersey, and then got a job in a company that makes jewelry manufacturing, and I'm working as a graphic designer. And as everybody knows here, listening in the podcast, or who might doesn't know me before, I'm an avid Beşiktaş fan, and I'm the designer and author of the book of Beşiktaş shirts, which I did for 3-4 years ago, or maybe even 5, with this season if you count it. Doesn't matter which one. So, and then what was the story with that book is that I have a collection of Beşiktaş shirts. Since I've been in this country, I've been, starting collecting. My first shirt I started when I was in just graduated in college, or the last year, I think. We had the 2003 year, the 100-year jersey, the striped one. And then one of my friends just sent it from overseas. And then right after that season, I started collecting Beşiktaş shirts. And back then, eBay was new. It was easy to find these old shirts, not like today.
Well, and I have to interrupt you for a moment because you've underplayed this fact. You're something of a, I don't want to overplay it either. I was going to say a patron saint. No, but you're certainly a major contributor to the club. You've been featured in a number of places as such. The book has done fairly well, as far as I know. It's definitely well known among the circle of Beşiktaş fans. And you contributed. I don't know.
Sentimental value, you'll be right. Maybe not financially, I didn't contribute that much, but the idea of the book came out like this. I was collecting these shirts, and it came up to like a certain number that my wife wanted to kick me out of the home, because there's no space in the closet.
That's what happens.
So she was,
especially in New York.
Yeah, she kept asking like, "What the heck are you gonna do all these things? This and that." I'm like, this is my thing,
We'll find a way. Yeah.
Yeah, and one day, if you get lucky, we buy a house or something, and then I'll have my man cave.
That's right. That's
my
right.
shirts and stuff. Cheers.
Cheers to that. Yeah.
And so I had this idea of having this a cocktail kind of thing, featuring all these Beşiktaş shirts, and do a little brochure telling about these shirts. And then once people came in, ask them to donate money for the benefit of the kids with leukemia. And that idea developed, and then I started to design the brochure, and then it ended up being this book, which is like 240 pages and hardcover and all that stuff with the nice paper quality and thing. And in the meantime, our president came over here to visit Beşiktaş USA, and I had the chance to meet with him personally. I got the permission to use all the club logos and everything, and what we did over here is that we produced about 2,000 copies. They all numbered, and when we did the sales, like more than half we sold it through pre-orders or online sales and stuff like that. The money that we collected over here was close to like 10 grand, and we just gave everything to LÖSEV through the foundation, which is called United for Turkey. Back then, where I was working, my boss was setting up this foundation to do this charitable organizations and all that stuff. So he helped a lot. His name is Ekmel Anda, and he's a very, very avid Fenerbahce fan. And I have to admit that, but he's a very, very nice man.
There are some good ones.
They always, yeah. I always say that. There are certain people that had to come together for this cause. Otherwise, it wouldn't happen. So.
Much of my family are Fenerli, which is a sort of dirty secret. But so I know there are some good ones. It happens.
My father's a Fener fan. I was this close to be a Fener fan.
Me too.
He told me that when I was like 7, 8 years old, that if I would be a Fener fan, he would take me to all games, the whole season game. We were living in Kadıköy back then.
Oh man, no, yeah.
And I said, yeah.
We could hear the stadium whenever our goal was.
Yeah. We were nuts about him, and then we were like, I said, yeah, why not, And then the first weekend I'm waiting, he said, I got a business meeting. I said, I'm Beşiktaş fan.
And that's fate was sealed.
Yeah, so excuse my language, but that was the best thing happened to me. Anyway, coming back to the book, that we did that, and then we did the donation. I'm hoping to God that I was able to save maybe even a couple of kids' lives.
Great.
Through some kind of the machinery or treatment they have in Turkey. And then the club, they see that the book came out, and they were like the feedback was really nice, so they decided to print in the club store, the Kartal Yuvası. So back then, I don't know if they did a run for 2,000 or 5,000 copies. I'm not sure what the number is. It was sold for the club. I gave all the rights without getting even a penny from the book to the club, because the reason behind it also was the Fedai.
I was hoping you'd get into that. I didn't want to prompt it.
Everybody was trying to do something, and I'm like, I have to mention the names like Ersin Kurnaz. Maybe some of our listeners know. They were initiating a Feda T-shirt from Germany. They did something. Yeah. Some people, everybody was doing something. Like, you remember that the Tromsø game that we did in Olympiad Stadium?
Yeah.
Everybody knew that the next day that we were going to be banned from Europe. But still, close to 80,000 people went in there.
Right.
They feel it because they
knew.
They come together. They had the community sense, the club sense,
absolutely. Yeah.
The belonging feeling. So I thought, what could I do for my club? I'm a graphic designer. Not a
footballer.
Not the best one.
You're not talking with your right foot.
But, this is what I can do. If somebody is good at building buildings, I'm pretty sure they helped while they were building the new stadium. So this is what it is, a community project, basically. And I always say, maybe I did this in the 110th year. I'm hoping maybe in the 125th year, I'll do another one, maybe a bigger, more in-depth knowledge and stuff. Also, last year they did another book, and they have another person who actually helped me in this book and his name is Murat Koçak, and is known as Bozo Murat. He's from Izmir,
Sure.
and he had his own collection. He's a tremendous collection. He has all these, the lilac jersey from 1990.
The one, your dream jersey. What you gonna get into?
Yeah, and then he has like so many different ones, and they made almost like a couple of months of gallery show in the museum, and accommodated with a little thinner than what my book is, but still pretty good. And this is becoming a trend. Maybe a few years later they'll do another one. So hopefully, in the end, if it all helps the club to get some attention, especially I did the book bilingual, both English and Turkish, considering all the tourists coming into the Taksim area and visiting the Dolmabahce Palace and visiting our stadium, and then they will find something that they can relate, all the away fans. But that was 5 years ago, so I don't know. I mean, the last jersey in the book was like from 2014 season, I believe.
And I can say, I mean, it's a stunning book. I have it in my hand right now. He's kindly given me a couple copies, but thank you, Barış. As I'll say from the community to you.
I still gotta sign it for you.
Yeah, no, I'll get that.
One day you'll make big bucks. So.
Yeah, well, I'm more of a collector than but I guess who knows when times are tough.
Yeah.
But so let's dig into this now. As a part of this feature, a part of bringing you on, we wanted to discuss what we've got going this year. We've got some new shirts in. In fact, we've sort of had them delivered here so we can look at them on hand. Khan and I already sort of previewed it in the last episode.
Right, like up until half an hour ago, I didn't get the chance to. I just got them, so.
I'm actually already wearing mine. I've been wearing it pretty much since.
I didn't want to wear mine yet because I was having this walk in this humid weather, so I didn't want to.
Fair enough, fair enough. And so in my case, I'm wearing my red one.
Red one, yeah.
Which, actually I've got Quaresma on the back. And I have the black one, and I have Babel on the back. Now, Babel played today, so I was sort of conflicted between wearing the player who's playing or the shirt we were wearing. And I veered towards the shirt we were wearing today, which is the red one in the Tórshavn match. So I've had it on all day. It's fitting. It's starting to fit to my form, I suppose.
It's not a really, really slim fit. It's a little bit relaxed, right?
Yeah, it's relaxed. I even have an undershirt underneath it, so I didn't want to sweat onto it, It's a good shirt. Yeah. I'm not a fan of those slim fits personally.
Yeah, me neither. Look at me. I'm like, twice the size of you. So
my dad bod is just you have a few years on me, I think. So
do you wanna go over the questions that Khan asked?
We've got some questions pre-prepared, and I think we need to dig in. We've got a lot to talk about within it. But so the first question was, which shirts among these that we're looking at now, holding in our hands, which do they remind you of in previous seasons?
Okay, it looks like the first question, so I'll get a little hints over here.
That's right, you're getting cues. You're really prepared here. This is a real professional operation. Turn down the fourth wall to let you know. I'm serious.
The white shirt for me is definitely a simple and classic one.
Of course, right? No, it's clearly a shout out to previous.
They no question about it. And like we say, it's a classic. It's simple. We're talking about the white one, and it kind of reminds me of the early '90s and the late '60s and '70s. Those are the times that they have the plain white Beşiktaş shirt with a logo.
Black collar.
And '60s and '70s, we didn't even have the sponsor logo.
Yeah.
Our first one was like '78 or something.
Who was our first sponsorship? That's a trivia question.
The book. It's in the book.
I was gonna how well do you remember your own material?
It's the cologne. It's the cologne. What was it? Shoot! If you open the book on page 230, there's a chart that I made. And all the way in the back, and then it's kind of like you have to hold the shirts. So, right here, the Pereja Cologne, 77, 1978.
Nice.
That time on, this is all the sponsorships. See, I have the question mark for Vodafone in there.
We didn't quite.
It was like the rumors, when the book was published. So
that worked out pretty well.
Yeah, so it's kind of like
Beautiful.
And white shirt has the classic look, and you can never go wrong with the classic look, because every club has a brand identity. And like you go for Juve, you see the striped shirts. You go for Bayern Munich, they have a certain the top, the red one. Or...
And this is a common misconception that the classic Beşiktaş shirt is a Çubuklu, is a striped. No, right? Like, you're our definitive sourcing here, right?
On my perspective, white top, black shorts is the classic.
Because that's where we started. That is where we started.
Actually, no, I have to correct you on that one.
Uh-oh.
Okay, our club is from the 1903, but our soccer division, soccer branch, started in 1911. And if you go to the museum today, or if you search the historical pictures, team photography, our first jersey ever is actually a striped black and white jersey.
Okay, wow. So
and 1911 soccer.
This is good trivia, actually.
And it's actually, I just heard this also, double checked it from İlker Pırlant abi, who is also a living legend in Beşiktaş history,
Sure.
And you can follow him on the Twitter, and he also has his shows in the Beşiktaş TV. And that was our first shirt, but it's not our classic. I mean, we have very important striped shirts in the past. Some people even have some emotional ties with that striped jersey. But when you look at the big three of Turkish Super League, Fenerbahçe has known as the striped.
Right.
The
I was going to say, yeah.
Galatasaray is the the half.
Yeah, right. The half
Metin
yellow, half
Oktay
red.
shirt.
Yeah.
And then Beşiktaş is the plain white.
Classic white with a black collar or black.
Yeah, so that's the classic. So that's why people sometimes get into kind of like confusion. They say, "Oh, our first shirt is a stripe, so that must be the classic one."
You can see among my collection, I don't have many. I'm not a Çubuklu guy.
You have quite a few,
But with that said, my very
Was
first
it 5,
Beşiktaş
6?
shirt. No. This is just the recent ones. My collection is like stored. It's because I have cats. I don't want cat hair. These are the ones I actually wear still.
Wearable ones.
Somewhat regularly. Not excessively, I hope, but probably excessively as far as my wife is concerned.
The white shirt, I like it. The simplicity of it, the classic look of it, I love it.
So it's reminiscent of our history, all kinds of history.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if they keep wearing it with the black short underneath, it will add more value to our brand identity and consistency. But there is only one downside. I don't think they can do anything about it. If you look at this shirt, you see that the sponsor logo is in red color.
Yes.
Right? So it's like, even like 50 yards away, that's the first thing you see.
That's the contrast.
I mean, they get the big bucks, but I wish that they would have that sponsor logo in black.
This is a good follow-up to our previous episode where we had a Faroese guest. And he's like, there's more than Nike and Adidas in life.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have the sheep.
Yeah, and Vodafone, back in the days,
true.
They did the black color sponsor crest, and then for Manchester United they even changed their color. And I remember
to tone it down.
I remember like maybe 10 years ago, before our old stadium was still existing, and then on top of the kapalı, we have the sponsor Türk Telekom. They were sponsoring us, but their color was blue and navy blue, their logo. So they painted it, the roof. So all our fans, they say, listen, this blue color, you gotta go black.
Yeah, exactly.
So they just went over and overpainted it.
Nice.
They showed the effort, and then everybody was happy,
It takes so little.
Yeah,
it takes so little.
This is the only thing they could have done is make this black.
Yeah.
But also Khan has a point that, which I also want to answer. The sponsor logos are all this plastic, the print with the heat press.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they were on the textile itself.
The quality in general. And let maybe, all right, well, first, before we actually get into that, what do you think of the other shirts? What do you think about the red and the black?
Okay, so on the black shirt, the most people like the black shirt the most from the initial pictures.
I think it's the fan
when
favorite.
They came. Yeah, it's like, when it came out first, everybody was like, oh my God, look at that black shirt, this and that.
It's pretty.
Also, the stripes that you see on the front, they are not so hidden. It's kind of like obvious, black on black kind of design.
Right.
it's kind of added this extra value that you can almost categorize it as a double, this is a striped shirt as well.
Is it a Chibuku? Right.
Yeah, like maybe 5 years down the road when we're gonna talk about this. Oh, you remember the black striped one? So that might be the name that tag along. Because, usually some shirts they get all these nicknames.
Sure.
Down the road.
This will get like my sort of golden. The one I always wanted was the red with the gray stripe. Remember?
Yeah, exactly.
It was sort of Sergen's like last season with us, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Or second to last, maybe. But
I mean, to be honest with you, it doesn't remind me of one of our previous shirts when I think on top of my head. But it's pure black, and from a distance, I can remember back in 2004, 2005 season, maybe like the Sergen season, like you said, the pitch black when we have Ailton.
Right.
Brazilian striker, like that was made by Umbro.
Yeah, that was a nice one. I actually got that one.
And they have the logo, the Cola Turca.
Yeah.
This big ass logo right in the front.
Yeah.
And everything else was black. Yeah. Everything,
My version of that shirt was ruined by that logo because it started ripping. It was so easy to rip because it was that huge chunk.
Some fans did that because some fans were not happy with the Cola Turca.
Right, it was too big. Yeah.
They didn't appropriate that name with our club, so they were like using all these different techniques like heating with the whatever means necessary to take that logo out.
Yeah.
But that reminded me of that one because it's pitch black. Other than that, that was like stripes and all that stuff.
But it almost has tones of this one, although it does have the red more prominently. But like, with the sort of like light and the dark.
Oh, so we're looking at the black shirt with the 3 red stripes when Dan Baba was with us.
That's right.
Right. This is from Tórshavn. Yeah.
I have a match worn today. But,
so this is 2014
that's
season.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
I think. Yeah. And the black is black. The only thing also that what I like is the material on this one.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like this breathable.
Like Climalite, is it called?
Yeah, and the breathable section is actually the stripes.
Yeah. So
once you look at it closely, the design is actually working for its functionality.
Yeah.
So you can also say that form followed function over
there. You go. That's a good point.
It's kind of like very neat for the designer perspective.
And for the perspective of wearing it in the summer, it might be a little airier, right? It's got that Climalite material going down the front and back pretty continually. So that's a nice perk for sure.
Yeah. So black is, I think, I'm gonna come back to that one. But before that, I wanna talk about the red shirt.
The red shirt, which I'm wearing again. I've already noted.
I mean, to be honest with you, when I first saw it, I thought it was more
bright. You said, right?
This is more bright than what I expected. I thought it was like more darker red. Almost like even a little darker than on the Vodafone logo or the flag logo. This is a little brighter. But it has a lot of positive vibes. I heard a lot of people going into the stores. The car told you was to buy the black shirt, and then they ended up buying the red one for now. There was a lot of tweets like that. But it's obviously it's one of the most obvious one that's picked up from the catalog.
Sure.
The template.
Of course.
We are 100% sure that even the black shirt or the white one, they're from the template as well. But because of the club's brand identity, they're kind of hidden.
Right.
But the red one you see with the stripes,
right, the Orlando Pirates.
Everybody.
There's a rumor of a Seabass might have to pull it out.
Everybody. I mean,
although I must say, one nice feature of the red one is the black stripe on the collar.
Yeah.
Which actually had it stand out from some of those sort of like imposters, right? Because it actually showed us sort of a little extra effort maybe to have it stand out.
Yeah. On the white shirt you have this polo kind of collar, which adds a nice value. And then on the white one, it's also like almost like a
black one. Yeah, the black one may have a sort of more traditional view.
Yeah, and then this is called what, the bicycle neck?
Yeah.
That's what they call it, I think. It's more like a rounded.
But with it added, so it's like a red collar with a little black lining on the collar, which sort of distinguished it.
This template has been around. I mean, the first time I see it back in March. Right before the MLS season starts. I mean, our listeners in podcast, this episode, they might not know that MLS has an agreement with Adidas. Every club is getting Adidas shirts. So every season they get this new Adidas template shirts for each and every other club. There are now 23 clubs, so they designed this. So around March, when the season started, all these clubs come up one after the other with these new shirts. So we are able to see not only the regular outfield players, but also the goalkeeper shirts, which I'm going to come back later. So this template we've seen a lot. And even the people who missed this, because not everybody is watching MLS. In the World Cup, you see anybody and everybody almost who's using Adidas have one of the versions, the same versions.
This is going to lead into another question, which is like, who was your ideal brand? Is Adidas doing the best job they could? And I'm going to have a hot take on this, which is actually that I'm actually kind of fond of Adidas. And I'm actually a fan of what they've done for us. But let's wait till we get there.
We're going to get to that question also.
But so now,
for this, the template, the similar template design, it's called the Adi Pro. The goalkeeper is called the Adi Pro 18.
So we're talking about the goalkeeper 18. Jersey now.
Yeah, and also one of the downside with this red shirt, obviously 2 days ago it's all over the news. Sivasspor has the same look of our red shirt, their primary shirt, because they're red and white. The only difference they had is like they have this diagonal hidden stripes,
and they don't have the black
like
on
dashes,
the collar.
like heavy thick dashes.
Yeah.
So,
but I've actually heard they might even have to take it. There's the discussion of retracting.
Sure.
We'll see.
I'm not sure. They're red and white. I'm not sure why would
they
they
have
take
to do.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
But that was the downside. Besides that, I think just by itself, it's great. I like the black on the red.
Yeah, it's stark, and the numbers in the back are black as well.
Yeah, the numbers on the it's very nice. Also, as you see, the Calde are one of our main sponsors
on the arms.
Also black.
Yep.
So it's like it's complements.
Yeah, it gives it a little flair.
And again, look, on the black shirt we have the Vodafone white. The logo mark is red and white. On the white shirt, we have the sponsor logo. I'm talking about the Vodafone. It's all, the red.
White and red.
On the red shirt now, they have white.
So they've at least modified each logo.
I think on the red shirt, if everything else is black, they could have this black as well.
That's true.
Because if you look at Calde is kind of like playing.
Yeah.
Like playing along with the shirt.
The theme here. Yeah.
Because on the white one they are black. On the black shirt they are white. So it's kind of like complementing the shirt. But Vodafone, being the main sponsor, always want to come out. Like, I want to be the first thing.
They're being a little greedy on the jersey. And that's just maybe a theme of our three thus far, is that maybe Vodafone's been greedy with the attention they're seeking in the colored charts of their logo. And there's probably some truth to that, for sure. Maybe they feel like indebted to it because of all they've contributed to the club. But come on, guys. Throwing it back, at the end of the day, we're still trying to have nice design here.
It is a great design.
It is a nice design.
It is.
So all in all, that sounds like a fairly positive review.
Yeah, it is positive. And I just want to talk about the
keepers. That was the
keeper
jerseys. Last step here is, what do you think?
I'm really anal about this keeper jerseys. If you guys follow me on Twitter, as a collector, I've been always on the lookout for the keeper shirts. If they start selling it available for sale on the Kartal US, our Beşiktash official store, I buy it, no matter what, because I add it to my collection. If they don't sell the versions, usually they have a set of 3 colors, and usually the last 4 or 5 years they only make one of them available for sale.
Right.
The other 2, no. You have to beg for people in the club that someone knows somebody, and then they might get a hold of a couple, which I was able to do that because of my book project for the last few years. But in time, the personnel changes, people move around, and last year was very difficult the year before was very difficult to find them. I managed to do it towards the end of the season.
And it really is a challenge. I see on the editorial board some guys scrambling for them, and they're looking for 2 seasons back. It's never easy.
If it's collection, but the last year's goalkeeper jersey, I wasn't able to find it. It's a black one, which could be easily also can pass it
this season.
The 2007.
Oh, yeah, okay.
2018.
Okay.
The one we just finished.
Okay.
The one that we just finished for. So the red one was on sale. I bought that one. Last year they have the green one, that Fabri was wearing,
Yeah.
and the black one.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the white collar, the V-neck.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And those two, they were not able to put it out for sale,
Oh, wow.
and nobody was able to find it. I'm 100% sure some of the collectors in Turkey, they found them. If I would
Of
be in
course.
Turkey, I would probably go to the Ümraniye, you know, sleep in front of the door. Yeah, you know, but that's what I would do. But on the other side, think about it. You wanna inspire teens and little kids to become a goalkeeper.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say there's a bit of anti-goalkeeper bias there, right?
Keepers, because this kid, let's say, he sees this idol of his. He wants to be a goalkeeper. He wants to go in the, you know, wants to buy a shirt.
Yeah, because all of his friends, his idols, have their shirts available.
Yeah, somebody goes for Quaresma, somebody goes for whoever, Dembaba,
else,
whatever,
yeah.
you know, Gomez. And then there's no goalkeeper shirt.
Yeah, no, that's not right.
That's a turn off right away. I mean, especially when you're a kid, when you're a teen, you know how the feelings are. Like, you know, you have the posters of your
Of course.
idols on your wall, if you're lucky and all
The
that
shirt's
stuff.
a big part of the mystique, right?
It
The
is.
lore.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Come on, yeah, get with it, guys. So anyway, but yeah, that's worthwhile actually to mention.
so Kaan says, which is your favorite and which is your
Which is our favorite
Yeah.
and our least favorite? What do you say?
You start. You start. I've
Well-
been talking a lot, so go ahead.
Well, but you're the guest. So I mean, I've been like, you know, my habit is to talk too much generally. So like, I've been trying to hold it back. But yeah, that's actually a tough one, honestly, because I'm really fond of all the jerseys in their own right. I haven't gotten the white one yet because I'm still. That was the one that I was waiting to get one based on their performance on the year. Which I don't know if it's because I had labeled it the one, or you know, I don't know. But it certainly is the most brand centric one. It's what's probably harder than naming my favorite. It will be naming my least favorite because I actually do like them all in their own
Exactly,
right.
I feel the same. It's kind of unfair to say that this is my least favorite.
Yeah,
I mean, my favorite is the black one.
yeah. I'd have to
Because
say,
I have the emotional tie of the phrase Black Eagles.
right.
So I always expect my team to come out there, even though the classic look is black, the white shirt, the black shorts, you know. But I always get a little extra happy when they wear black and then they attack like a Black Eagles.
Exactly.
That's where our nickname came from. So that's my personal emotional touch on that one.
For sure. No, and as you mentioned earlier, and I think it's an important point, it is the type of shirt that one could remember 5 or 6 seasons now. No, that's year we had the black on gray stripes,
Yeah.
the black on black, right? Like
Yeah.
that's it does have the kind of that sort of immortal vibe to it, right?
Exactly.
Like it's gonna stay in the memory bank.
I mean,
So
white
fine.
is the classic, so you cannot say anything about it. It's the classic
I know.
look. So if I have to, you know,
Exactly,
if somebody pulls a gun and you have to say it, you know, force me to say it, which is your least favorite, then I would have to say the red one.
And maybe
But-
only
but
because of
still-
it's how much it's been reproduced, I
Yeah,
guess.
but
Like,
it's also-
like a media campaign, though.
but
Like,
it's
I
also-
really care.
It's also like, I could say like, you know, overall, I could give like, you know, 8 out of 10 for the whole thing.
For sure, yeah, it was a good year all around.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
I would even maybe up it to like an 8.5 or a 9.
They might even surprise us for another one on January. Like sometimes in
The
the half
special,
of
the
season,
special look.
something another, maybe like a regular striped shirt or something. I'm not sure. This is the last year, so I'm not sure about that one.
It's not unprecedented. Maybe that's how they'll try to sell us on the company, you know, with a special look. Which maybe let's use that to jump to that one, and we'll go back to the other one. As far as this being the last year, because it's kind of a natural segue. How do you feel about that? Do you feel that this should be Adidas' last year?
Look, when you talk about like especially like the last week when the first shirts came out, it was like, oh, nice shirts, nice designs, da da da da. Every year has the same thing, and then 2 days down the road, people start comparing it with other teams, and then you know, this is too simple. This is like this. This is like this is shit. And then like they say like, you know, Sivas has the same shirt as our third shirt. What's going on, Adidas?
Media campaign.
Come on, you know. Especially if you look at like 4 or 5 years ago, they have these little touches that's really put some added value to our brand, like these heat pressed logos on our gray shirt in the 110th year. Yeah, those little the feathered wings on
Feathered
Dembaba
wings.
shirt. You know, it's like that one. It's really nice. I remember always Ernst with that shirt.
Yeah, for sure.
2009, 10
This
season.
is back when I used to
You know,
get
with that
nerdy.
eagle heat press on it. You know, so it's like they're expecting these little touches, and then once they don't see it, they say, Adidas is not good anymore. This is our last year. Da da da da da. But if you look at the
Sort of club exceptionalism.
business part of it, which you have to do it, as a Beşiktaş club, we have to consider the income. That's the number one priority.
Absolutely.
If Adidas says, hey, we're only doing one jersey, one white jersey, just your logo on it and the sponsor logo. That's it. This is what we're doing. But we're gonna give you 10 million euros a year. You know what? You take it.
Exactly.
Because especially in this day and age, this is industrial football. This is what it requires.
Yeah.
And also, look,
More than ever before.
if you're gonna be angry with Adidas, let's say you're gonna go with Nike, right? You think Nike is different?
Exactly.
Nike is using the template the same way Adidas using.
Or any other company. You know, like, and people are like, oh, let's go for one of those like really under the radar ones. And like,
Yeah, it's like I just checked just to refresh my memory. As of the 2015 numbers, Adidas and Nike, it might be a little old, but 3 years past by. But Adidas and Nike is holding 65% of the market share on the whole world when it comes to soccer shirts.
Yeah.
So once you have the 65% of the share, like you have all these big brands like Bayern Munich, Adidas, this, that, Nike.
How many can you personalize?
They
Really?
probably produce like 100 million, 200 million shirts. So you have to look at the production standpoint, design standpoint, all that time-consuming processes and all that stuff, deliveries, all that things. Plus, all these shirts has to be sent to the local countries. They add their own patches and all that stuff, finalizing all that thing. It takes about a year to 18 months. So even now, we're talking about these shirts. If we stay with Adidas, the 2019 and 2020 shirts might be already chosen back in May.
Right.
Back in May 2018, which is a year and a half before.
And to
it's
tie
already
this into
chosen.
the world of football, like the role of money in football, it's not like it's decreasing, right? It's getting more and more.
It is.
How much did
It
Ronaldo
is.
just go for to Juventus?
Yeah, 100 million
Right, like-
for his paperwork, whatever.
Right, last year's
And
Neymar.
30 million for his salary.
Every year, it's a new record. Like the role of money is not going away, and this is the impact. So when you talk about whether you like or dislike the role of money, this is what comes with that, and it's a much larger conversation than how do you feel about this season's Beşiktaş shirts, right? Like,
I mean, if you dump Adidas and go to Nike, I think it would be really overpriced, and you're not gonna get anything other than another different template
Exactly.
adjustment. Look, a week ago we got in the news that it's all over. If you Google it, you find out. Tottenham Hotspur get an away shirt, their third kit, which is from Nike, and they have this navy blue center torso with the light blue arms and stuff.
yeah.
The same shirt, even the shorts, light blue, sky blue, is used by Barcelona as a training jersey.
They're mocking
So
that
they were
so
like,
much.
Barcelona, Tottenham, Barcelona's using it as a training kit.
That's what is that?
It's kind of sort of similar situation like Beşiktaş and Sivasspor on the red jersey of this
Right.
year.
They got like a
So
simplified. Yeah.
They cannot get away with this one. It's like you have to make a choice. If you are after the big money, which in Turkey all of the clubs have to do that,
And really,
to
in
the
the
limited
world.
sources,
In the world these days.
you have to go with these bigger brands, which they deliver on time to you, and they will give you more money, and also they will give other products
Exactly.
besides the shirts on time, like a tracksuit, like the training jerseys, like the other, the wind jackets, and all
Exactly.
that stuff.
And there's another element too from a buyer's perspective, right? For brand familiarity. It's
Exactly.
like business 101, right? Like
Exactly.
more people are likely to
Well-
buy a shirt that says Adidas or Nike or one of those big things than they are something else. And so if you're picking between those
Yeah.
ones that people have that familiarity with, you're better off sticking with one who you have a contact with, you have a relationship
Exactly.
with.
If you want to go with those little brands, you can get like splendid designs,
For
like
sure.
brilliant designs, but in the end, they're not gonna give you X amount of money. Maybe they're gonna offer you $2 million a year versus Adidas is giving you $5 million a year.
And you lose the brand familiarity on the purchaser side.
Plus, they might not able to give you more of a side products on the side, you know. So to fulfill that gap, my only suggestion for the club, which they are doing it very successfully for the last 5 to 7 years, you have your regular Adidas shirts, right? And towards the new year, you make your own homegrown shirts, designed and sold in the Kartal US.
Right.
Which is, we have the examples, you know, the decade set, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Before that, we have the farewell to Inonu, the double-sided reversible shirt. Before that, we have the Süleyman. We have the Süleyman Seba shirt, you know, which was introduced on a special nice boxes.
Yeah.
I mean, those ones maybe they were like a little expensive because of the packaging. Maybe they could do something in the middle, so they make the fans happy. Also,
and all it takes is one of those campaigns for all the sort of naysayers to forget all about their hate.
Exactly. That's the thing.
And I'll say, before we move on to the next topic, my final defense of Adidas is, you know, as someone who I may have mentioned this before, but I studied architecture for a couple of years as a college student, and within that I developed an interest in sort of modern design, which I then learned has a lot to do with sort of Japanese stylistics and their sort of style and design, which is a very simplistic, you know, one credit to Adidas and all of the jerseys they've done for us in the last few seasons is there's a certain degree of simplicity that I've always appreciated. A lot of the smaller brands tend to go really hard on their personalization and going heavy on flair.
It is the trend, though. I mean, if you look at the last 10 years of soccer shirt designs,
that's so modern, you know.
They go very minimalistic, like modern era designs, rather than the postmodernist. Everything is flying all over the place,
right,
kind of
like the
mishmash kind of design.
What is that company with the two people sitting back to back?
Kappa,
yeah, you know, something like that. Right?
They do some decent job. I really like Macron.
Macron makes a nice one.
You know, they were doing a Napoli back in the days.
Weren't you a fan of Under Armour?
Under Armour, not really.
Oh, that was maybe somebody else.
Yeah, because look, Nike, Under Armour, New Balance, these are like American brands. So any of those is going to be overpriced.
And honestly, I think they're going to bring. Yeah. They're going to try too hard to be unique, which I think sometimes that's a crutch. You know.
Yeah, it's like you go either with Adidas if you can get good amount of money. But hey, listen, if any of those brands they come up, they say, listen,
we're going to give you a ton of money.
Giving you $6 million, I'm going to give you $10 million.
Right.
And by all means, even if you go with the one no-name Chinese brand, you know. I wouldn't mind, because at this point, Beşiktaş is important. You know, whatever is the best for Beşiktaş. If that 3 million extra that we can use for a decisive player that we can transfer, that he will do something in a certain match that will change all the outcome, that's what it makes the difference.
This is a very important point to make, not just in regards to how we select our shirts, but also in terms of how we consider this transfer window in general and the club in general, right? Like, before we judge moves too quickly and harshly and, how could we let this guy go, or how could we get that guy? Like, we are in a condition, we're in a state now, we're really on that tipping point where we either commit to doing things the right way, and we do kind of as a club embody that sort of prudent approach. But so anyway, as you were mentioning, so there was a good segue to our next point.
The logo.
The logo
is
it's a step, right?
It's not as big as last couple of seasons. That's the first obvious thing that you see from the pictures.
Yeah.
But when you touch it, you realize that it's also different in material wise.
It's how many years?
Yeah, it's a plastic. It's a plastic material rather than that velvety flock material, which they call it the flock.
Yeah, but it's embroidered, right?
Yeah, but it's very delicate looking. I mean, it looks like embroidered, but I think I could almost tell it's not embroidered. It's 3D printed.
It is. Yeah, you're right. It just looked. It makes it look.
They give the look of embroidery, but it's look like 3D printed. Another thing on the stars, the 3 stars, as you see in the last year, you know, the 3 stars, the 3rd star was like an add-on. Because of the production timeline that I was mentioning, they were doing like a 12.
The design of the
The
stars.
3rd star was way up top last year, right?
more of an arch now. Yeah.
And this year they were saying all the 3 stars gonna be lined up in the same length. They didn't do it, which I liked it that they didn't do
like
it.
what they've done. Like
The 3rd one is a little bit up top, so it's really, it's a little complements the opposite side of the bottom pointy
You're right. That's
part
fantastic.
of the logo. So
You're absolutely right, though. It is not embroidered. I've been under the impression it was embroidered, and only now am I looking carefully enough to recognize that this is all plastic.
it is. It's like 3D printed kind of.
It's definitely, I mean, it's a step up from velvet. Now,
Also on the, I just sorry to cut you off. You see where they placed the logo
yeah,
on the black shirt on the stripe?
yeah,
It exactly
Very,
fits on a symmetrical way.
very symmetrically.
It's
onto
not
that.
going over the border.
Yeah, it's a good place.
I mean, mine is a 2X large. So I don't know.
Same here. Same here. This is an L,
This is
large.
Too large.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's the placement is very well thought. Yeah. And also we didn't mention Puma. You know,
Oh
Puma
yeah.
had really nice shirts. You know, Puma design besides Macron, Puma that we also used, and a lot of people have emotional tie with Puma because of the 100th year.
Mhm.
In that era, we have starting with 2001, 2001 up until 2004, we had the Puma shirts, and they were really nice. They had the 100th year classic shirt, you know, the white. I mean the black shirt with the white arms, which we had it 2 seasons ago when Abu Bakar was with us,
Yeah, no, that was a great one.
you know. And I think Puma would be really nice as well if they pay the big bucks,
For sure.
you know.
Well, so then let's get like before I reveal. So Khan via the Beşiktaş International Twitter handle we use put out a feeler among our fans to see who they'd want. Now, before I reveal those results to the podcast, what do you think? Should we stay with Adidas, go with Nike, Puma, or another brand? Now, your stance seems to be basically wherever the money comes from, right?
Yes,
But
exactly.
in a vacuum, like without money, what would you say?
If I have a choice for a design's perspective, I would go for Puma.
You're going Puma.
Yeah.
That was my hot take, and I think I'd stick with Adidas because I like that simplicity. I kind of like, even if it's a template, I kind of like those
You can do the
designs.
simplicity too. Really nice.
I've seen,
I like
I've seen a
Puma,
mixed bag from
You know
Puma.
why I like Puma? If you're familiar with the African national team jerseys, Puma is really big in Africa,
Mhm.
and a lot of those countries they have these.
The national team jerseys are really
little,
nice.
You know,
yeah.
touches. One of them has the lion,
The
one of them
flares.
has eagles, African eagles.
Yeah, no, you're right. I
So you
guess
have
it's
those little
more,
touches.
it's more, and this is going to get back into design and like Japanese simplicity and modern architecture, but,
Yeah,
but like,
yeah.
I like straight lines more than curves, right? And Puma has a tendency to do those sort of curvy edges and stuff, which, again, that's purely subjective. I'm not going to say, like, my way is better because I like straight lines and curve, like, there's,
Yeah.
in fact, like, there's probably some
You're
credibility.
probably in love with the Japanese Federation logo.
Big fan, yeah, I love it. Exactly, no.
It's really good. It's really good. You
I,
can tell it is designed.
For
It's
sure.
not like modernized.
No, the Japanese don't mess around. They never mess around. Come to Beşiktaş, Shinji Kagawa.
I was just gonna say that too.
On that note. So, you say that we should, in a vacuum, maybe go to Puma.
If you don't ask me about the money wise, I don't have any preference for the money. Whoever pays the most money, you know. But if you ask me just for design wise, I like Puma because of maybe my emotional tie of those era around before and after the 100th year that we have.
And a fondness for some of these new jerseys with African national teams, which are really beautiful, I must say. I'll grant you this, that would be my second choice. But I'm sticking to my guns. And for the sake of some diversity of opinion here, I'm going to roll with Adidas and my Japanese modern architecture, et cetera thing. The poll, the results were, we both lost, actually. Nike won somewhat resoundingly with 32%.
Oh boy.
Puma then came in with 24 and Adidas with 23. So we were that was a close second for both.
Okay.
And then another brand got 21%. So like the Macrons, the Under Armours, the
Umbros,
they got some, who knows which.
I think those people who ask for Nike, they probably go after the simplicity, design, and all that marketing materials they saw.
And brand familiarity, right?
But they're gonna be surprised of the price of the jersey.
Yeah, exactly. You'll find
with Nike, it's dollars, baby.
And on another level, this is like bringing things to an unnecessary level. But Nike's had many issues with like labor, with Chinese children in factories, and I'm sure they all have that to some extent. I'm not trying to like romanticize Adidas or Puma or anyone else, but like Nike has repeatedly run into those issues. So Beşiktaş is a notoriously like to use the parlance of young people, it's a notoriously woke club. And so let's stay on that tip and avoid Nike maybe. But anyway, very nice, Barış. It was a pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
To discuss jerseys.
I don't know if you want to have time to talk about that other magazine project that I have.
Yes, and so that's what this is where I'm leading you up. This is what I'm leading to. Yes, now. It was a pleasure having you here. We could probably have gone for the 2 hours.
Forever.
There's so much to say, and we might even have to have a follow-up. Who knows? Especially if we get a surprise fourth shirt, right? Which, anyway, if they want to make a surprise, pitch last minute and throw down on a fourth shirt, that would be nice.
It would be nice, but I don't think they're going to come with a fourth shirt.
Might not be necessary. And in line with what we've been saying about mass production and streamlining, it's not. In wrapping up, of course, it's always a pleasure to talk about shirts. Now, I'm going to ask you if you have anything to plug, but before I even ask you to do that, could you tell the listeners what's your Twitter your handle, so that they know?
Oh, my Twitter is it's a Turkish. I have like 2-3 of them. Basically.
Okay, well, give us the ones that are pertinent.
The English one that I like to chat in English is Eagle Abroad. But I don't have that much followers in that one.
That's just one word, at Eagle Abroad?
Eagle,
underscore
abroad.
Okay.
And then translated into Turkish, actually, it's Gurbet Kartalı.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like an arabesque kind of name that I came up with 10 years ago or so.
Nice.
So it just kind of stuck. People know me like that on the social media, so I just kept it.
Eagle Abroad.
Yeah, so Turkish, it's Gurbet Kartalı in Twitter, and then if you want to write me in English, then my other account is Eagle_Abroad. So those are the 2 platforms. I have the Instagram, it's same, Eagle Abroad and stuff.
Is it at? Yeah, it's still at.
Yeah, Instagram. I think you put an at in front of it.
Yeah, exactly. So, and same underscore, Eagle
Yeah, same
Abroad.
underscore.
Okay.
And I also recently opened up this the accounts for the magazine.
And so this is more important, I was going to say. And so now, before we even... So you have a Twitter handle for a side project, and so I plugged his book earlier, which he can't even make money off of anymore because he gave the rights away. But this is more pertinent to your actual, to your life. This is what you're doing now. Plug this project. Give us the Twitter the handle, and tell us a little bit about it.
This is a magazine project that I started about 5-6 months ago. The name of the magazine I came up with is 915, with the numerical 915.
What's the meaning of that?
Okay, a lot of Americans or Brits, they don't know what's a 915 mean when it comes to talk about the soccer. Because 3 countries in the world using imperial system is United States, Liberia, and Burma. In Britain, they have a mix of a metric system and, the imperial system.
Right.
But if you look all around the world, everybody's using the metric system. And then when you talk about the soccer, when there's a free kick has to be taken, the opponent has to move away 9 meters, 15 centimeters away from the ball. That's the official guideline. And also, if you look at the dimensions of the circles,
it's more good trivia for our listeners.
Or the arc. The radius of the arc from
in front of the penalty box.
PK, point, that's also 9 meters and 15 centimeters. Also, when you try to kick a corner kick, you have to get away 9 meters, 15 centimeters. So, in USA, in England, they call it 10 yards. So I don't want to call the magazine as 10 because it might bring up the confusion and misconception of the number 10 position.
Right. The attacking midfielder.
Yeah, that thing. So 915 also creates a little curiosity. What is it about?
What is
kind of
that?
thing.
Yeah.
So, like you said, it's kind of trivia. So I started this magazine, designing this magazine 5-6 months ago. We put together a team, global team, basically right now. I'm just gonna open up one of the sample prints we just recently did, and I'm carrying around and showing people for you.
It looks beautiful. And this should be highlighted because they can't see this. It is visually a very stunning production that
if
they
they
put
want to
together.
look at the samples of the magazine, they can go to 915mag.com. It's with the numbers, number 9, number 15mag.com. That's the website we just started, putting on live. And also in Twitter, it's 915mag, but that's like written out loud, not with the numbers, like at 915mag. Also on Instagram at 915mag. And also we have a Facebook page. You can just search 915 magazine, and then it will be like you can find the page for it. On the digital platform, I just started it. But as you scroll through, you can realize that we are more after. Our focus is more after the youth development.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say I was just watching.
And the women soccer, and the veterans that who played this in the top level and then forgotten in time. Now they do maybe some other job or something, because we don't want to do stories about Ronaldo or Messi or any other really top players out there.
There's enough about them, right?
Yeah, it's like you go to a bookstore right now, any Barnes and Nobles, let's say, you have 5 magazines, the soccer magazines, every one of them talk about them.
For sure.
In one way or another. So we want to more point out the, if you might say, quote unquote, the unsung heroes of this global sport. Also the youth.
I know my daughter will find the section on women very. She's always looking to see examples of other grown women playing.
And our team is global, like I said. In the first issue, if we can come up with, for the first issue, we're planning to publish it in October, if we can financially make it, turn into a reality. On the first issue, we have Necmettin Çelikan, who is actually a manager in Europe. He lives in Sweden. He's always out in the youth scout. He told us all this, the upcoming youth talent all around the globe.
Yeah, that's great. For the record, I just flipped open to a page.
Yeah.
It had a great sort of summary of some of the top youth talent and some sort of vital information on them. It was beautifully laid out as well. Nice art.
And we have Muharrem Sunal, who's also a person that, a friend of mine that I met through the social media. He lives in Germany, Berlin to be exact. He's a very big soccer enthusiast, and then he actually drove a couple hours to Wolfsburg club, made an appointment with them, and then talk about their youth director and marketing director,
well known,
about their development system, what the kids are doing and all that stuff. So, like I said, we don't want to cover Ronaldo's and Messi's and all the other ones that wherever you turn around your head, they basically, in my opinion, they're really fun to watch them because they're top elite, all that.
Of course.
They work
in the World Cup, it's great to watch.
But it's like they became a marketing tool to sell another shoe of Adidas or another shirt from Nike.
Absolutely. Or
some other sponsorships they deal. So I'm interested in the romantic side of soccer. I'm interested in the youth development. Our featuring interview with Michael Windishman. He had an unfortunate injury back then. So he had to cut his career short when he was 25, 26, something like that.
That's it.
And other players that in his team are very well known today in the U.S. soccer.
Lalas.
Lalas was even after him.
Sure. 94
Maybe
like Eric Winalda.
Winalda was his teammate. Meola was his teammate. Very well known figures in the soccer. If he wouldn't be injured, maybe he would be very well known soccer figure as well. But somebody has to talk about these real unsung heroes.
Well, guys, look him up.
The 915 mag.
Give us the details.
915mag.com. And
So just straight 915mag.com.
Exactly. Also, we have we just started an Indiegogo campaign, a crowdfunding.
Okay.
We have some perks on the side, like if you want, it's like you can pre-order the magazine. Like if you pay like $15 or $17 with the shipping, once the magazine is available, if you're in the USA, you can have it. You can ship it to you. If you're in the outside the USA, the first issue we can send it digitally.
Okay.
Because the shipping of this magazine costs another X amount of money for overseas. For the first issue, we want to keep it in the USA for the actual physical shipping. But of course, anybody around the world, they can, we can make arrangement or whatever. We have other perks, like you can get 2 issues. You can sponsor a page for a certain amount of money that we can feature your name on it. You can sponsor a back cover, like an advertisement. All these certain amount of dollars that you can add onto the campaign, which will help us to publish first couple of issues.
Yeah.
And our ultimate goal is to have this featured on the Barnes & Nobles all around the US.
Sure.
And some other major bookstores. Also, if it's accepted, maybe get into touch with one of the distributors over Europe and then send it overseas as well. And in time, maybe a year down the road.
Well.
And you never know. Maybe you are playing soccer with your kids somewhere, and then 915 Mag correspondent might just tap on your shoulder. Hey,
exactly.
What do you think about this academy? This and that. Might do a little interview with you. You don't even know.
You never know. So
it's a surprise.
So get in something from the ground up, guys. Support a fellow Beşiktaşlı.
I mean, if you cannot even financially support right now, you can share it with everybody.
Yeah, follow him on Twitter. Go onto the website, send on the links to people you know. Help in any way you can. And certainly, I can speak on my end. Seeing the physical copy, it's a beautiful specimen. Do check it out, guys. And thank you so much, Barış.
I thank you so much.
It was a pleasure.
I hope this is a beginning of a long-term relationship with the Beşiktaş, the podcast and
by all
that
means.
stuff.
By all means.
And like you said, that we might probably do a political backdrop of the 90s.
Yeah, we have to dig into the dark side.
We have to have Khan on that one as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And I thank you so much for this opportunity to talk about this project as well, and hopefully it helped us to make this reality.
Absolutely. No, and you are one of the contributors to Beşiktaş's survival over these last few years. You've done what you can, to a level that's made it. They got you on this podcast, right? Like we know who you are.
When I put my head down, nighttime, I mean, let's be honest. We all live Friday to Friday over here,
sure,
right?
Yeah.
This is most of us like that. We all owe money to credit cards, this and that. We try to struggle all that stuff. Everybody has different problems, but when I put my head down, I put my head on the pillow nighttime, and I think, did I do something for Beşiktaş in my lifetime? I know that with my project or my contribution, if there's one little screw was able, or one of the seats
in the new stadium,
in the stadium, then I'm happy.
You've done your duty. I've
done my thing. Hey, you never know. Like we said, maybe on the 125th year, maybe we do something else.
And here we are again. I mean, right now we're contributing. Right, the Black Eagles podcast is also like a non-profit. We're contributing to the club as we speak, informing the fans, keeping everyone posted. Thank you so much, Barış.
Thank you.
Yes, very nice. It was thoroughly a pleasure to host Barış İzgördü, to have him onto the podcast, to talk everything Beşiktaş, to get into the shirts. I have to apologize to Barış. I have had to cut quite a bit of our conversation. We talked for more than 2 hours, and of course that would have been probably not so palatable for you, the listener. So I've had to cut quite a bit. Sadly, I cut a bit of info from his plugs at the end about his 915 magazine. But I'm going to try to compensate for it by thoroughly plugging it again here in my outro. let me once again highlight our friend Barış İzgördü here on Twitter. He can be found at Gurbet Kartalı, GURBETKARTALI, or as he said, he can be found at Eagle_abroad. Additionally, and perhaps more importantly, if you'd like to help Barış's project, getting news about football's sort of underside, the youth and the ladies and some of the veterans who don't get a lot of attention, do check out his magazine at 915 Mag, and that's spelled out 915, NINEFIFTEENMAG. That's on Twitter. He also said that most of those things will work for Instagram, Facebook. Get the word out. If you don't want to contribute financially, it's okay. We understand. Everyone knows that everyone's finances are different. That said, you don't have to spend money to help a fellow Beşiktaşlı out here. Send out the word. Follow him on Twitter, and whenever there is news, help him transmit it. And let's help our fellow Beşiktaş, fans succeed in life. He's given a great service to the club through the book that he helped produce. So it could be nice for us to help him out as fellow Beşiktaş fans ourselves. And it's a great project, I think. Anyway. So thank you again to Barış İzgördü. Thank you to you guys for tuning in. That's all we have for today. I think I've gotten enough into B36 and Enzo, Roco, and now our shirts. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. I know it's a little bit different from our usual fare, but everyone loves to talk about the shirts. I think everyone's buying one or two every season, or as often as they can to support the club. So it's fun to dig into the background of all that. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, like, subscribe, follow. We are, we're on iTunes and Google Play and Spotify, so it's easier than ever to like, follow, and support the Black Eagles podcast. On Twitter, follow us at Eagles_podcast. That's Eagles, plural. Follow our flagship for news at Beşiktaş International. Follow our flagship for all the news at BeşiktaşInternational.com, Beşiktaş-international.com. Also on Twitter at Beşiktaş_INT. Follow my host with the most, who is a ghost at the moment, Kaan Bayazit. It's not his fault though. This was planned, so not. Kaan can be followed at Razerian, RAZZERIAN, no Z. You can follow me at Sir Writes a Lot, Sir_Writes, the verb, the W, not rights like human rights. Sir_Writes_a lot. I don't think I'm forgetting anyone else, but if I am, follow them too. As always, let everyone know about the sensation that is the Black Eagles podcast. We do have some bit of a following now. We've got quite a few listeners, quite a few followers. So for those of you out there who are quietly listening to us every episode, stop with the quietness. Get out there, write. Let us know how you feel. What are we doing well? What could we be doing better? We want to make this thing what you want it to be. So, let us know. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in, and go Beşiktaş! See you guys soon.